I am 73, but the scariest thought did not come to me in old age. It came earlier, much earlier. I thought I was living the right way, but with every year, there was less of me left. I was successful, but one sentence my son said still echoes in my head. If you keep telling yourself later, watch this video until the end. My name is Walter. I am 73. But I am about to say something that may feel uncomfortable. You were misled about time, not on purpose, not out of cruelty, but because almost no one understands how it really disappears. You think old age is when life ends, but the real danger begins earlier, in the moment when you seem to be living. But in reality, you are just existing. Be honest. If you were shown the truth right now, would you want to know how many years you have already postponed yourself? I am not recording this to sound wise. I am recording it because I have less time left than I would like. But you probably have less time than you think too. And by the end of this video, I will share one thing I understood too late. Why the advice, or live in the moment, sounds beautiful, but almost never works, and what truly starts to change life, even when it feels like it is already too late. At 52, I experienced what doctors politely call a cardiac event. A nice phrase, but in reality, my heart simply decided to stop me. I was sitting in a meeting. We were discussing plans, numbers, quarters. Everything felt routine. Then the world blurred, as if someone removed the focus. My next memory was a hospital ceiling, tubes in my arms, the smell of medicine. But the scariest part was not that. The scariest part was my wife standing in the corner of the room. She was crying quietly, as if she were afraid that any loud sound might finish me off. The doctor said, "You're lucky." But I lay there thinking, if this is what luck looks like, then what does bad luck look like? Lying in that hospital bed, I allowed myself an honest thought for the first time. I had been living on autopilot. I wasn't choosing my life. I was following a script. A house was required, a job was required, status was required, everything was required. But I didn't notice myself disappearing inside. Then a question formed in my mind that truly frightened me. If I had died that day, what would have remained? Not reports, not a job title, something alive? Would anyone say, he was present? Or just, he worked a lot? The most dangerous lie sounds very calm. I have time, I'll do it later. I told myself that every single day. But I heard it from everyone around me too. After I get promoted, after I finish this project, after the kids grow up, after things calm down. But the problem is that later never arrives, because later is always busy. And every time you postpone life, it feels like you are not losing anything, but you lose a day, then a year, then yourself. The problem isn't that you don't have time. The problem is that the gate keeps moving. You reach a goal, but the joy doesn't last long. Then the bar gets higher, then you have to prove yourself again and again. And life gets put on pause once more. It's like climbing a ladder, believing happiness is at the top. But when you finally reach it, you realize the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. And the scariest part is how many years it took before you noticed. But the real breaking point didn't happen in the hospital. It happened later, at home. I told my son, I'm fine, I'm just tired. He looked at me calmly, without anger, and he said a sentence I will never forget. Dad, you're not tired. You're disappearing. You're here, but you're not really here. It wasn't an accusation. It was a fact. And in that moment, I understood something painful. You can have a family, but still be a stranger. You can be successful, but feel empty. You can live a long life and never truly live it. People think they'll regret failures, but the truth is, most regret something else. What they never did at all. They didn't call. They didn't visit. They didn't say, I love you, because it felt awkward or inconvenient. I don't wake up at night because of work mistakes, but I wake up thinking about a trip I postponed for 10 years, a conversation with my brother that waited for the right moment, evenings with my children that I traded for one more hour of work. The cruelest things aren't big tragedies. The cruelest things are small, not today. One later, one I'm tired, one maybe this weekend. But weekends end, years end, and sometimes people end too. And only then do you understand the price of those small decisions. Be honest. If you died tomorrow, would you be satisfied with how you're living today? Not with what people would say about you, not with how much you earned, but with what you felt, with who you mattered to. If the answer is no, ask yourself another question. What exactly are you waiting for? What seems so important that you are willing to trade your only life for it? People love to say, live in the moment. It sounds beautiful, but it almost never works. Because you can't live fully every single day, but you can do something else, and this is what saved me. Stop postponing the small now, not moving away forever, not burning everything down, but making the call today, setting aside 40 minutes for what matters, saying no to what drains you, and saying yes to what brings you back to yourself. If I could go back to my 30-year-old self, I would say just a few things. Stop trying to impress people who don't care. Stop trading your health for approval. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start with one call today, one step this week, 30 minutes for yourself. But do it consistently. Not because you have to, but because time doesn't ask if you're ready. I'm 73 years old. If I'm lucky, I have another 10 to 15 years. I'm not sure I did everything right, but I know one thing for certain. I don't wait anymore. And you have a choice today. Keep waiting or start differently. Not loudly, not for show, but honestly. If this resonated with you, write one thing in the comments that you will stop postponing this week. Not a dream. One concrete step. Subscribe if you want more. I talk about things people usually understand too late. I want you to understand earlier.